The overwhelming consensus on the climate change crisis is manufactured. Prominent scientist Professor Dr. Judith Curry, currently serving as president at the Climate Forecast Applications Network. Climate Forecast Applications Network has responded to growing needs for more realistic scenarios for regional climate change on decadal timescales than can be provided by global climate models. Is active in advancing novel ideas and approaches in weather and climate services. They are recognized as innovators in pushing the boundaries of effective forecasting and advancing the understanding of weather and climate prediction and predictability. They have built a team with rich expertise in the core fields of meteorology, climatology, mathematical and computer sciences, and decision support. Dr. Judith Curry, former climate alarmist.
I was adopted by the environmental advocacy groups and the alarmists, and I was treated like a rock star.
What does that mean, treated like a rock star?
Oh my God, I was flown all over the place to meet with politicians and to give these talks and lots of media attention.
Then the ClimateGate scandal taught Curry that many researchers aren't so open-minded. Leaked emails showed university climate scientists conspiring to hide data.
It showed a lot of really ugly things, avoiding Freedom of Information Act requests, trying to get journal editors fired from their job.
One email read, "If you think this Yale professor is in the skeptics camp, get him ousted."
Now functioning as a whistleblower, reveals the truth about the climate change industry. It manufactured the global warming consensus.
A manufactured consensus.
Researcher Judith Curry says climate scientists have an incentive to exaggerate risk.
Why? What's in it for them?
Fame and fortune.
She now blows the whistle and unveils the truth.
Climate change fanatics had corrupted the science because there's a climate change industry set up to reward alarmism.
The origins go back to the 1980s and the UN Environmental Program.
Some UN officials had a specific agenda.
Anti-capitalism, they hated the oil companies, and they seized on the climate change issue as one to move their policies along.
The UN created what's called the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change.
The IPCC wasn't supposed to focus on any benefits of warming. The IPCC's mandate was to look for dangerous human-caused climate change.
Obviously, if you're only looking for risk, that's what you'll find.
Then the national funding agencies directed all the funding in the field.
If you say we're all going to die and we got to spend a ton of money on this, you get funding. If you say we don't know, you don't get funding?
No, it's more subtle than that. The announcements of opportunity for funding are really tied to assuming that there are dangerous impacts.
So the researchers aren't stupid. They know what they need to say to get funding.
Exactly.
This is how manufactured consensus happens. Then, even if a skeptic does get funding, it's harder to publish because journal editors are alarmist.
If you wanted to advance in your career, like be at a prestigious university, get a big salary, have big laboratory space, get lots of grant funding, be director of an institute, well, there was clearly one path to go.
So alarmist researchers control the discussion. They publish lots of scary papers, and alarmist media jump on those.
Why don't other scientists who recognize the nonsense push back?
If they work at a university, it's going to be very uncomfortable for them.
Universities have become idiots and they punish people who tell the truth?
I mean, I felt the hostility.
Curry was a department chair at Georgia Tech until she concluded that fossil fuels aren't so terrible.
They want fossil fuels to go away.
When they made life uncomfortable for her, she looked for other university jobs, but was told,
nobody will hire you, because if you Google Judith Curry, everything that shows up with Judith Curry denier, Judith Curry serial climate disinformer. At that point, I started making my plans to transition 100% to the private sector.
She started this weather forecasting company. Now climate alarmists smear her as a climate denier doing it for the money. But she made more money at Georgia Tech.
If I was doing this for the money, I would have stayed at Georgia Tech and sucked up my big salary. But that's not who I am. My personal and professional integrity would not allow me to play that game.
Be sure not to miss out on our most notable content addressing the deceptive climate agenda, including manipulating fears about climate change for worldwide financial dominance, Urgent message from 1,500 scientists and professionals. There is no climate emergency. There is no climate crisis. Nobel Prize-winning scientist exposes. Climate change is not caused by humans, scientific evidence shows. Smart cities, weaponized concentration camps. Climate change. Fact-checking government's lies. According to the One Health Initiative of the United Nations, which includes climate change, this information will be censored worldwide shortly.